I tell you what, we were just at a trade show in Denver where we bumped into each other, and I pointed out to Leslie, I don't remember meeting you. Now, you remembered meeting me at a CX meeting, local chapter meeting. Is that where we met?
Yes, that is. I don't know how long we've known each other, Bob, but you and I met through the Customer Experience Professionals Association, who is an organization that has local meetups. And once a month, a group of us from Indianapolis would meet at a breakfast spot here and talk about all things customer experience. And you and I were both regulars there and met through that networking event and have built our friendship ever since.
Man, we've talked about a lot. You and I will have no trouble finding things to talk about here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn the screen share off so that you and I can, you and I will both be on at the same time, and it won't be that little tiny thing up in the corner. So, and then we'll come back to it because we're going to talk about something in a minute that's really near and dear to both of our hearts, and that's the conscious capitalism effort. So let's stop the share. And hey, good morning. How the heck are you?
I'm doing great. How are you, Bob?
Great, man. And you said traffic was a mess coming into, was it 465? That was the mess?
465, and I believe it is because our town, Indianapolis, had an influx of people because we were in the line of totality for the eclipse. And so I'm wondering if part of that traffic was people headed out of town, going back to their lives after experiencing what is probably a once in a lifetime event for many of us.
Wasn't that cool? Did you, I'm sure you did. I mean,
yes, it was
not?
Incredible. You see pictures of the eclipse and you hear about it. And I didn't expect to react the way that I did. It took my breath away. It was something, it's the most beautiful thing I think I've seen. It was incredible.
And you wonder, how does that happen? How does God make stuff like that happen? I mean, it was just, yeah, I agree. It was just absolutely awesome. I was impressed. And we had a gathering of neighbors, which gave, all the neighbors another opportunity to get,
Oh, yeah, community. Yeah.
community, which is, like, boy, you can't get enough of that. So next we'll have a summer party, and the community will get together again. And it is wonderful. So
I love it. My brother flew in from Virginia, and had to fly through Charlotte because there were no direct flights to Indianapolis from the DC area, which is unusual. But I just think it was because flights were sold out. People were coming here, and they picked a great location because our weather was absolutely beautiful.
Wasn't it perfect?
Yes, it was.
Real high cloud cover. Yeah, it was perfect. It really was. So hey, Leslie, we just got back from Denver. How you feeling? I'm still a little, those trade shows, they take a lot out of you, don't they? You got another one coming up next week.
They take it out of you, but there's also something about kind of putting it back into you. Hearing from incredible leaders in our healthcare space, and particularly providers, is an incredible opportunity because, I think across healthcare, there's different verticals, and the provider vertical specifically, I think, has the biggest challenge when it comes to customer experience, because they're responsible for the experience beyond just care, and taking care of your illness. But they've got hospitality, they've got food, they've got transportation, they've got entertainment, they've got all these industries of experience that they've got to kind of weave into the human experience as we're navigating healthcare. And I just think it's one of the toughest jobs within the customer experience space that there is. And so to be surrounded by these people that are doing the work, you know, learning from each other and sharing their experiences. We talked about community earlier. It is a community. It's such a supported community. And so leaving that event, it just kind of fills up your cup too. Like, you're not in this alone. There are people there to support you, cheering you on, championing you, and really making progress. I mean, sometimes the progress feels slow, but you know, progress is progress, which is good. Our healthcare system needs progress for sure.
Well, my instincts, I think, were correct in getting into this because of our hospitality background. And the type of measurement that we
Yes.
is different than the type of measurement that you do. We're both in the
Mhm.
measurement business. We're both in the voice of the customer business on different levels and different ends. And one of the things that I found about this group from a standpoint of, there's a lot of educating to do here. Because when I would mention I'm in the survey business or the feedback business, everybody immediately, like magnets, went over to, well, you're like Press Ganey. You know, you do the HCAP stuff. And I would say, no, let's back up a little bit. There's like when people make a phone call, you should be talking to Authenticx, or when people go to visit a clinic, you should find out if they felt safe. You should, you know, a lot of questions along that patient journey. And so there's a lot of educating that has to happen, and they're starting to get it. Some of the people I talked to were like right out of the gate, oh boy, that's good. We need that stuff. But most people were like, it's HCAPS, you know.
Oh yeah.
I-
It's where the money is, really, you know. It's like,
Well, it's the only place you can demonstrate a true ROI. But
yeah.
but we can demonstrate, and I know you can too, you know, with what you do.
Well,
So
and
there's-
I think that audience though is also, I think some of the control and power is out of their hands. Like, they're just the ones, they're left to go do based on what leadership is saying, and leadership's going to be drawn towards the clear ROI. Whereas, you know, the work that we're talking about doing, there is an absolute ROI. It's just not tied to like very specific dollars that are out there from the government to incentivize around. You know, it's a different ROI.
how much is loyalty worth? How much is, you know,
Exactly.
just
Yeah.
repeat patient worth, you know, there's
Repeat patient, and then driving efficiency, driving quality, driving safety in the business. You know, the connection to those aren't as clear as we're going to incent you, measure HCAPS and you're going to get money based on your HCAP score. Like, that's pretty clear.
or you're going to
versus-
lose money.
Or you're going to lose money. Good point. And we don't want to do either. Versus what we're talking about, it's a very clear return, but it's not as concrete to business leaders, to healthcare leaders. So it takes a little bit more of a stretch for them.
Yeah, you know, I'll pitch my white paper here just for a second. Have you seen it? I don't know if I've shared it with you or not, but the white paper talks about the enterprise nature of feedback.
Mhm.
And how what's important is that even in your methodology of using AI and conversational analytics to share that data across the silos that exist inside health. And I've been on calls with peers of ours, Leslie, that believe that, well, we have to break those silos down. Mobius is a 25-year-old business process firm. We would never recommend you break down silos. Not in a million years, break down silos.
Right. They
Because
exist
those
for a reason.
are important bubbles. And however, you can connect those silos. And that's what our white paper talks about, is how you connect those using data.
Right.
And our friend Lonnie Hirsch and I spent a whole BobCast on that a couple of weeks ago. So
Yeah.
in your role in Authenticx, anybody watching this that knows me knows that we're in the we're in the voice of the patient, voice of the customer business, typically deploying by email and using this tool called survey. Boy, have you and I had some great discussions about that. But well, I shouldn't say but, and having said that, talk a little bit about the distinction, if you would, between how you collect your data and what you do with it, and how it differentiates from what we do.
Yeah. So before I do that, Bob, I want to touch on real quick the silo thing, because you talked about connecting and data helps connect. The other connection is the customer. You know, every silo exists to serve the customer. And so, you know, and it comes in the form of data, but customer data is absolutely a connection point across silos. Okay, difference, distinction, I would say, is solicited versus unsolicited. So what does that mean? Well, solicited, what do you think? Will you tell us how you feel? Will you share with us your thoughts? You're asking for feedback and input. You're soliciting it. Unsolicited, which is what Authenticx listens to, is not that. It is just leveraging existing information. And for us, it's conversations or unstructured data that is available to listen to the voice of the customer. So we're not asking for feedback, but we're looking at places where customers are giving that to us unsolicited. So those are places such as contact centers, when they're calling to schedule appointments, when they're calling to ask about their bill, when they're calling the nurse to understand if they need to come in to get treatment or not. It comes in the form of patient portal conversations when they're asking questions about their care. They're also sharing information. Just the nature of them asking questions is input for the business. What are they asking about? How frequently are they asking about this? And when we understand that, we can start to get more proactive in how we serve our customers. But it really starts with listening. And one of the things that I've learned, we have a lot of nurses that work at Authenticx. And what our nurses do is they listen to healthcare conversations and they tag and label those conversations. They create our training data for our AI models. And one of the things that they told me that I've learned from them is that when you listen, the customer will tell you everything that you need to know to treat them. And that mindset is not just in a clinical setting. That mindset of when you listen, your customers will guide the way. They'll tell you what you need to know is applicable in businesses as well. And so, you know, I think the difference really is we're both listening. It's just the nature in what we're listening to. You're asking for feedback. We're looking at places where feedback already exists and mining it, really trying to harness what can we learn about our customers through the interactions that we're having with them as they navigate and seek help in their care journey.
For my compadres that are not in the healthcare business, in its simplest form, what you're doing is, this is the simplest form. It's that you're taking speech, you're turning it to text, and then it's from that text, that unstructured data, that you're putting structured reports to, and that's the gap that makes the difference. Is being able to take that unstructured data, put it into structured reports, and determine what it is that customer patient was saying in the first place before they get to us. I mean, we are measuring the experience. How was your visit? How, did you feel safe? You're ahead of all that. You're the tip of the spear.
Yeah.
Because you're on the listening side. So
Yeah, well, a way that I think about it in that perspective, Bob, is like what we're doing at Authenticx is we're measuring the experience, when they interact with us, the moment. And what you're doing is you're measuring the memory of the experience. Now, it's important, our memories drive our future behavior. What we recall about the last hotel we stayed at, or the last doctor's visit, or my last interaction with my health insurer matters in terms of my future behavior. So, both are important indicators of customer behaviors.
Yeah. So I want to rewind just for a second, get back to the Burl show that we just got back from. I shouldn't call it a show. I should call it events. Their content, the content of that was absolutely incredible. I learned so much, and that's why I went. It was my first time there, and I didn't really think I was going to walk out of there with any solid sales. I did walk out with a couple of solid leads, but and I think I sent one to you, by the way. You should be getting a phone call. But the one that I went to that really resonated with me was yours.
Oh,
It was on storytelling. I'm not, and I told you that at the time. So this is not being just simply gratuitous and yay, Leslie. It was the content of your particular talk about storytelling. Can you boil that down in like 2 minutes, 3 minutes?
yeah, I would say the kind of headline is that customer experience, patient experience professionals are frustrated by a lack of action in their business, and storytelling, data-backed storytelling is what we would call it, is the best tool that we can use to incite action. And it's the best tool because it attacks what drives our body to do something, to change, to act. And that is, it speaks to our conscious mind, our logic, our reasoning, and it speaks to our heart center, our primal mind, which is our emotions, it's our senses, it's our action parts of our brain. So storytellings drive action. And the other piece is, I would say, as the headline, is that most people think of storytelling as public speaking, like I'm going to get up in front of people and I'm going to tell a story, or they think of it as data visualization. And those are underneath what data-backed storytelling is, but data-backed storytelling is a process. And it starts with the process of finding the story, then it's crafting the story, delivering the story, and then holding the business accountable for action from the data. So it's more than just public speaking. Yes, we should all go and invest in public speaking skills and presentation skills, but that alone is not going to incite action in your business. We've got to learn the process of data-backed storytelling, which starts with finding the story in our customer data, crafting, delivering, and then holding the business accountable for action. Was that 2 minutes? It's probably longer.
I mean, you could listen. I think you and I should do a BobCast on just that.
Yeah, I'd love to.
I mean, I'd love to,
Yeah.
put that on
Bob,
the docket.
before that session, I always get nervous before I speak, but there was something about that session where I felt like I want to give back to this audience, because this audience has such a hard job and they have such an important job. And the thing that I can give to them is I can give them some tools that they can use to drive action in their business. Like it felt very much of a give back type session, which gave me some confidence, it helped settle my nerves, like that I had before that event as well.
Gee, I really thought it was because you saw me walk in the room, and there's my buddy from 6 blocks away.
That calmed me too.
I mean, because your office is just, literally around the corner for me, which I think is very cool, by the way. Very cool. Okay, so as a profession, what got you here? What got you to this? What got
What
you?
got me?
What got you to healthcare? What got you to voice of the customer?
Oh, let's see. So I would say I graduated with a degree in sociology
From
and from Indiana University. And while I was learning about sociology, I was really drawn into the research side of it, and specifically the survey research. I spent a lot of time in their research division, programming surveys, developing surveys, being the interview that called people and, conducted the survey, and was very drawn to that. When I graduated, didn't really know exactly what I wanted to do, and feel very fortunate that I found a job at a company here in Indianapolis called Walker Information. Walker its roots are in market research. Its history, its origin is in market research. But over the course of 80 plus years, it has transformed in what it is. And today they're more of a customer experience implementation company. They help companies design their experience strategy and that type of thing. So I was at Walker for 20 years. After Walker went to Anthem, which is now Elevance Health. They're the second largest health insurer in the company. And when I was at Anthem, Amy Brown, the founder of Authenticx, left her company to start Authenticx, and someone said, you need to meet Leslie. Amy and I met. I became a immediate advocate for what Amy was doing. Amy and I kept in touch over years, and 3 years later, after Authenticx was founded, decided to come and join the mission here at Authenticx of helping humans understand humans through the power of listening. And we're doing that just within the healthcare space as well. So my career is actually in customer experience outside of healthcare, but over the past 6 years have been focused within the healthcare space.
Couple of passions intersecting, nothing bad comes out of that. I know that, for instance, excuse me, I'm a cancer survivor. And one of the things that I found when I was going through it was I didn't think I had anybody to talk to. And, there's the embarrassment that, hide it. It's almost like, I remember one time I was at a grocery store during the COVID thing and I had a mask on, and this lady said something to me about, why are you wearing a mask, you big chicken? And I said, well, I have cancer, ma'am, and I don't want to spread it, She bought it, by the way. People, I know, people are crazy. But my point though is that one of the things that I find is that, and I'm a member of a couple of support groups now that talk to cancer patients because I am a survivor. And one thing I tell them is you have to be an advocate for yourself.
Absolutely.
And one of the things that we stress to our clients in healthcare is you can also use this data, by the way, to share some of the data, little metadata with your patients to show them how to be an advocate for themselves. Because there's something in every answer they give.
I love that. I love it. Well, in your story, Bob, it reminds me of what I've learned from the nurses here at Authenticx, which is if we create the space and we listen, they'll tell us. But we've got to create the space. And you said, I didn't think I had anyone to talk to, and it's like, that's not going to help us heal you,
That's right.
But having those spaces where you can feel like you can share opens up the opportunity for the system to help you and support you through the process.
like you couldn't believe. I mean, the oncologist that I had was hilarious. I mean, he had such a manner about him that made it easy for me to make the transition from oh shit to oh wow. You know,
Yeah,
this is gonna work out great. No matter how it works out, it's gonna work out great.
right.
So
Yeah.
let's move to if you want to, let's see if I can get this PowerPoint back. There we go. So, Leslie, in following you on LinkedIn, which was very important, you've inspired me in a couple of different ways, a couple of different areas. And one of them in particular is the, oops, come on. Oops, there we go. Conscious capitalism.
Mm.
So here's something that what I find about conscious capitalism is it's either really understood when we talk about business is good, or you really don't understand it. And so there's a lot of evangelism that has to happen here as well. And I know because you and I have collaborated on a survey last year to find out what's the perception, what's the acceptance, what's the, and even did some measuring. It was really across the board. So I'm laying this squarely on you, my involvement, engagement, from being somebody who just happened to join and be a member to where you hornswoggled me to being on the board. And thank you for that, by the way, because it is cool people. I mean, these are fun people, So why? What brought you to this?
I started by reading the book. So Conscious Capitalism, it's a worldwide movement of elevating business or elevating humanity through business. And the belief that the best way that we can improve our world is through business, really. And I read the book, and I was at a point in my life, in my career, where everything just started to click. And I was very fortunate to work for a conscious business as well. I was at Walker when I read Conscious Capitalism, and it all just kind of came into focus for me of that the purpose of business, yes, you have to create profit. I get that. To exist, you have to create profit. But the purpose of business is more than just profit. It is about doing good in the world. It's about providing for a community. It's about giving back to areas that need it. It's about creating jobs. It is about a higher purpose. And I read the book at a time in my life where I needed to read that book, and things just all kind of came into focus for me about business. Indianapolis, so Conscious Capitalism has local chapters all over the world, and Indianapolis did not have a chapter. And so I partnered with two other people here in our community, Kim Graham Lee and Nathan Bobet. And we founded the Indianapolis Conscious Capitalism chapter in 2017. And, we've been growing the chapter ever since then. I am personally very, it means a lot to me, Bob, that you've joined our chapter too, because we need your leadership, and it makes me so happy to hear you say that I influenced that. So thanks for sharing that as well.
You didn't just influence it; you inspired it. We've gone through about 30 minutes now, and I haven't mentioned politics once, but this really kind of gets a little bit to my liberal core. Right now, today, we're looking at record corporate profits, and we're looking at what people refer to as inflation. And the two are very directly related, I believe, and most economists believe that, you know, you could lower your prices, you could still make a profit. Now, for me, of course, in my 401k, you know, I'm not unhappy. However,
Mhm.
I think there's a little bit more spreading around that we can do for the good of society, because, you know,
Mhm.
the more money we spread, the more money we make sure that the people in poverty can experience greater buying power, then the more the economy grows, and on and on and on. So you know, I'm a real believer. I mean, to the point where like you, I put my time in and my money in. So
Yeah, yeah. Well, and I think I do think money is a part of it. Absolutely. I also feel like companies that might not have extra money to spread, because there's a lot of small businesses that are just, you know, striving to get by. The way that they elevate humanity is the work environment that they create for their employees. You know, being a place where people on Monday morning aren't dreading it, you know, like, you know, but it's a place where people can grow personally and professionally in their job. It's a place where people feel valuable. You know, there's not, you don't have to spend money on that. You know, it's the environment that you create, how you treat your employees as well. So absolutely agree with you. I think business has an opportunity economically to help the environment. But I also think for those businesses that can't, there's a way of doing conscious capitalism just in the type of business that you create and how you treat your employees and your customers.
well, and you know, there are two QR codes on this page. The one in the upper left goes to the Mobius website, and on the Mobius website, we have an area called Sharing is Caring. And what we do is we highlight the charities of choice for our clients. So we don't only help raise money for the ones we care about, but we help raise money for the ones of our
Love
clients,
that.
you know, and that's what, and you know what, that costs nothing to put that up there.
Exactly. That's a great example.
Nothing.
Yes.
So, well, and the QR code on the right will take you to the Conscious Capitalism website. And if you need any information on conscious capitalism, you can get a hold of either one of us. We're
Mhm.
both evangelists for that. Okay.
Love it.
So here is my friend Leslie. The QR code will take you to her LinkedIn page, her LinkedIn group. You see her email, the Authenticx website that will tell you what Authenticx does. We are, Leslie and I would say that we probably started out as being competitors until we figured out what actually the difference is between the two platforms, and that's made a big difference. So really flattered, very flattered to be considered to be one of your friends.